All right, have a question here from Ezer in the comments section. Ezer writes, how old were you when you started playing? And what are the common beginner dilemmas you have encountered throughout the years? So Ezer, I think I was 8 or 9. I had kind of a weird, not weird, but not a completely typical start to piano. My family is somewhat musical, my mom's musical, but definitely not super involved in the arts or in piano, and I was not forced at all to take piano lessons. In fact, I was just kind of like a weird outlier in our family. Our family's a very sporty, businessy, sporty type of family, and I was always into the arts from day one. I loved to sing and dance, and so I think that my parents just started putting me in sort of art-related stuff. But I did not have regular piano lessons like sometimes you'll see from day one. It was very hit or miss and off and on. And even up until I think through high school, I really wasn't getting consistent advanced instructions until I was maybe 16 or 17. In some ways, I think that's helped me as a teacher because it's allowed me to have to figure out things for myself a little bit. So I didn't have someone telling me this is how you hold your hand or this is what you do with your arm or your wrist. I really had to figure a lot of that stuff out, and that's helped me in my teaching because I think I'm able to explain that it doesn't always come, or it didn't come 100% naturally to me. What's kind of funny is that people assume, and I don't mean this to sound cocky, but people always assume that I had like a really strong training, but that's more because I just practiced my butt off when I was 14, 15, 16, and I started realizing that music was going to be a very important part of my life. So some of the most important beginner dilemmas, that's a huge topic, but I think I can, especially if you're talking about adult students or people who have kind of tried to start on their own, one of the things that I see all the time, what it really boils down to is they start and they kind of go down the wrong path physically in terms of their technique or mentally in terms of really not engaging the ear properly when they're starting. And I think that it really depends on the person. Some people are lucky and whatever they kind of bring to the piano seems to be very natural, but some people can really go down this wrong course, and it takes a lot of correcting, especially once those habits settle in. I sometimes joke that I get paid a lot of money to correct people's posture because it's just amazing how the human body, once it's set into a specific way of holding itself, it's amazing how hard it is to change that. And because you're working with a lot of refined muscle groups and a lot of really somewhat complex motions with the piano, if someone's studied on their own for 5 years and kind of figured stuff out, and they're already playing things like Chopin or harder music, if they have bad habits, it can take a lot of patience to go back and correct. It can be done, I've seen it happen, but it can be a little bit of a frustrating experience for I think both teacher and student, to be honest. So I see that a lot. And then the other big thing you see is people don't realize that they're not actually listening to themselves. And so ear training from the very beginning, learning to really hear what's coming out of the piano, learning skills that you might not know even exist, like hearing in your head, being able to visualize sound, being able to visualize the sight of playing and the kinesthetic, kind of the feel of playing. All of these are skills that people don't even know exists in surround playing. And so if you haven't really trained that from day one, it can take a lot of kind of backtracking. It can be done, but I would say those are two of the big dilemmas that I see. One other thing you might add to that, and I think kind of ties into it, is that especially adult students tend to think that they're going to move quicker than they really are. And there is some people can move pretty quickly, but I think that adult students sometimes will underestimate the amount of time it takes to get from point A to point B. And you know, it's easy to forget that when you're training a kid who's 5 or 6, they might spend 2 years, 3 years on the very basics. But when you're an adult, you know, it's very tempting not to be patient and take your time with those basics, because you have more of an intellectual understanding of, you know, the advanced music that you might play. And so there's a lot more temptation to want to jump the gun and not really get the basics down. So I hope that that's helpful. That's been my own personal experience, and I hope that those of you watching this will share some of your own.